welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we're going to be faced with a puzzle that I am assured has the best new rule set that we have seen in months. It's called Chocolate Banana Killer, and it's by the American math teacher RockyRoer, who makes fabulous puzzles. And apparently Chocolate Banana is a logic puzzle. Now, I don't think I've ever done a Chocolate Banana logic puzzle. But this apparently borrows its rules from that logic puzzle, and the way it works with Sudoku is apparently mesmerizing. So I'm looking forward to trying this. I'm just thinking as I'm thinking about chocolate bananas. By the way, bananas are the food of the devil, so it doesn't make my palate tingle. But I was just thinking I should make sure that I can do sort of banana colour and chocolate colour. I have got brown and yellow available in my palette here. So we're going to be able to go all chocolate banana on the grid, which is great. Anyway, I will read you the rules of this one in just a moment or two. What do I have to tell you about first? Two things. I want to say a very happy birthday to Bryson today. And this is because your husband Trevor wrote to us and said that you'd appreciate a shout out. Trevor said that he has no idea why Bryson likes the videos, but Bryson really does. Bryson, you're a very sensible chap. I'm not sure about your husband Trevor though. But anyway, Bryson, of course, I hope you have a brilliant day with lots and lots of chocolate cake. Next, we've got our new Sudoku hunt, haven't we? Let me show you a picture of it. The cryptic scriptures of the Secret Snake Society. We are already hearing wonderful things about this. It's 18 or 19 puzzles long, so it's properly time consuming. And if you manage to solve all the puzzles and send in the answer you get at the end, you will get a shout out on the channel. So if that is something that your heart's desires, then do get cracking. You've got until the 20th, so plenty of time. Plenty of time left to go. Anyway, let's go have a look at this Chocolate Banana Killer and I'll read you the rules. What's RockyRoer got for us today? Normal Sudoku rules apply. Draw cages such that every cell in the grid is in a cage. Cages must be entirely shaded if they are rectangular in shape, brackets, a square counts as a rectangle, and they must be entirely unshaded if they are not shaped like a rectangle. No two shaded cages can touch orthogonally, and no two unshaded cages can touch orthogonally. Digits in cages cannot repeat, and numbers given as clues in the grid represent the sum of the cells in the cage containing that clue. Not all totals have been given. So we're going to have to fill the grid with some rectangle shapes. I'll use my chocolate banana colours. I'm not going to do this very scientifically, because it's going to be very hard. That's going to be solving the puzzle. Hang on, no, that's wrong. I've done it wrong already. I've suddenly realised. No, if this is square, which includes a rectangle, so this is rectangular, this must not be a rectangle because we can't have two rectangle colours touching each other. So let's get rid of those. So then if that was the shape of the yellow, it would have to be surrounded on all sides by brown. This is weird. It's going to be really constrained, isn't it? And that means I've broken it already, because I would be putting a cage with digits of size 4 next to a cage with digits that added up to 7, and that would be two brown cages together. So, okay, don't do that. That's definitely wrong. But you hopefully that sort of gave us a flavour of how these rules might work. I wish I'd done, maybe I should have got a chocolate banana logic problem out first to have a go at this. But anyway, I haven't done that, so I'm going to have a go at it blind. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. My eyes are instantly drawn to a 45 clue because there is a secret. Now the secret is that any complete row, any complete column, and indeed any complete box of the Sudoku will contain all of the digits 1 to 9 once each. And if you add up the digits 1 to 9, so ask the question, what's the triangular number for 9? Well, 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 45. And that's the secret, and it's something I normally only tell my very favourite people. But of course, if you're watching the video, you are definitely in that coterie. Now, if Well, given that you can't repeat a digit in a cage, we now know the size of this 45 cage. We know how many cells it contains, because it must contain all of the digits 1 to 9 if it doesn't contain a repeat. That's the only way of getting to a 45 cage. So this is a 9-cell cage, and it can't be a rectangle, because the only way I could see it being a rectangle would be if it either took the entirety of row 1 or the entirety of column 1, or I mean, that's going to be the only way to make 9 cells look like a rectangle. You can't do that. That doesn't look like a Oh, well, you could have done that. That would have been a rectangle, but that would have overlapped with the 43 cage. So nothing here works. So the 45 cage is I don't know whether it's a chocolate or a banana, but it's unshaded. Let me just check the rules. Clues must be entirely shaded. Yeah, this is unshaded. So why don't we use yellow for unshaded? Now, the next thing I can see is that however my banana grows, it's got to take either this cell or both. So it's going to be orthogonally adjacent to this 43 cage. So that must be chocolate. So that's a chocolate cage. Now a chocolate cage is a rectangle, and this is a big cage. In fact, we know how big this cage is because it must be 8 cells large, and we know that because it's not 45. 43 and 45 are different numbers. There is a knowledge bomb for you from cracking the cryptic. So this is missing a digit or digits that sum to 2, being the difference between 45 and 43. Well, it can't be missing 2 digit ones. That won't work. So it's only missing 1 digit 2. And therefore, it's 8 cells large. And I'm just trying to see if I know where that goes. So 8 cells is going to have to be a 2x4 rectangle, isn't it? Because it can't be a 1x8 rectangle here. That's not going to work, looking at what we've already got in column 2 and row 2. Now what I can't see, having said all that, is that there seem to be a lot of different rectangles I could draw here. I think those 3 cells all have to be chocolate. But it depends whether this cell is part of the chocolate cage or not. And indeed whether that one or that one is. One of these two is, and whichever one it is, it's going to extend like this. Right, hang on, let me think about this. So if that goes up there, if that was like that, then this 45 cage would hit this cage as well. So this would have to be a rectangle. But 21, actually, that could be a 6 cell, couldn't it? Because it probably is. It's probably 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. It's 6 cells, and it's a 2x3 rectangle. But I don't really see how to do that, I have to be honest. So let's try something different. What about the 40 cage in the bottom right? So that's also got to be a lot of digits. The maximum or the minimum number of digits it's going to be is 7. Because if it was 6 cells only, it would be 987654 as a maximum, and those only add up to 39. Yes, so this is not capable of rectangularization. So this is banana. This is banana, and is going to do some twisting. Yes, okay, but it's the same logic. It's exactly the same logic. Whichever way this goes, and it could go both ways, because it doesn't have to be rectangular, that cell must be chocolate, because it's going to be orthogonally next to a banana. So if this is chocolate, this is part of a rectangle. Oh, but it could be 4 cells, couldn't it? Ah, bobbins. Right. It can't be 5 cells, because 13... well, the triangular number for 5 is 15. I like this rule already. It's very interesting. Right, so what else is it going to be then? The 4 and the 7 have to be different. Oh! Wow. Hang on a moment. That's weird. Oh my god! Oh my goodness me! How is one of these going to have a bend in it? That's the question. The 7 has to be a three-cell triomino that bends, and if it bends, that's beautiful. That's ridiculous. Well, I'm just going to give this a moment's thought. Is that my favourite clue, or my favourite domino that I've seen in a very long time? This is my favourite domino. That is quite remarkable. Yeah, I don't know whether we're going to call the puzzle my favourite domino or my favourite new rule, but this is beautiful. Right, so the point here is ab initio, all we know is that the 4 and the 7 are of different colours. So one of them is chocolate, one of them is banana. But let's think about the nature of banana. Banana requires a non-rectangle. So that's going to require one of these to be at least 3 cells, because you can't make a non-rectangle out of a 2-cell sequence. It will always be a rectangle. That's so lovely. So now you can't make a 3-cell sequence of different digits add up to 4. So we now know that this cell is a 1, 2 or a 4, but we know much more than that, because it has to bend, and it's right in the middle of the puzzle. So in order to achieve non-rectangularization, it cannot be these shapes. It's got to bend somehow. And in bending, that means the 7 is consumed. Not only is it yellow, but it's consuming the 1, 2 and the 4 from this box. So this is a part of a 1, 3 pair. And the 1 that's in this 1, 3 pair, because you can't just write 4 in here anymore, it'll break the 7. The 1 needs to not be in this box, because the 1 from the 7 is in this box, and the only place the 1 can go is here. Oh, I mean, RockyRoer, when you found this, you must have just been, well, I have to make that into a puzzle. You have to make that into a puzzle. Oh my goodness, and look what this is going to do. Oh, this is going to do absolute massive things, because this is a domino of brown, and it must therefore cease, every orthogonal cell must be banana. So all of those have to be bananas. Now these 2 cells can't be bananas, because this cell is part of a 3-cell banana sequence to add up to 7, and that will make it 4 cells, and that will make it 4 cells. So those are both brown. This has to be a 3-cell sequence. We know it bends, so there's a 1 in one of those 2 cells, and that's a 2 or a 4, because we need to put the 1 in this 7 sequence. Right, so what is that doing? Apart from entertaining me mightily. So, right, so yellows have to bend. So, does that mean that's going to be yellow? Oh, actually, how could that be brown? Oh yeah, that's the better question. A better question than asking, can this be yellow, is to say, can that be brown? Because if that's brown, it has to be part of a rectangle that adds up to 21 and not hit this 23, because you can't have 2 cages of the same colour orthogonally connected. Well, the only way of making this a rectangle that doesn't hit this is like that. You can't make 2 cells add up to 21. So that is banana. And now that's not banana, because if that was banana, the 21 cage would be of size 7, and the triangular number for 7 is 28. So that's brown. So now the 45, look, can't come down here too far, because it can never come to either of those cells. So the 45, which we know is 9 cells large, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's got to come across at least here in terms, well, probably further than that one. No, it's got to come further than that, but then I don't know whether it's bending. But now the 43 has got trapped in. That's got to take these cells now, because we know that this is a 2x4 rectangle. Oh yeah, I can do it. Look, that cell can't be brown. It would make this rectangle not rectangular. So now, in order to get this as a 2 by 4, I have to do this. And then that must be limited on every side by banana. I love this. This is just sensational. I can't make the 21 any bigger, because if I do, it'll be 6 cells. So I thought, when I saw this clue, I thought it was going to be a 2 by 3 and take 6 cells, adding to 21. Well, now it can't, because it can't have a 1 in it. So at the moment, it's 5 cells. If we give it a 6th cell, which can only be that one actually, let's give it this cell. Well, we know that it must stop then, and it must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, because that's the only way of keeping 6 different digits down to a 21 total. But you can't put 1 in any of those cells, because there's a 1 here and there's a 1 in the 7. So this cannot be. So that must be brown, and we mustn't make, the brown needs to be rectangular, so that cell's got to be yellow. Yellow has to bend, so that cell's got to be yellow, and then we've got to bend in this 10 clue. So, well, actually, we've got to be a bit careful how we do that. This one, that one can just stay still, can't it? Okay, yes, so this ability for brown to just be a 1 cell sequence is very useful. Right, let me think about this now. So now we've got... I hope that for the colourblind folk that this is okay, because it's very entertaining. Now, although now I feel like I'm about to get stuck. Right, how many cells have I got in my 45? I've only got 7. Okay, so I need 2 more. The 43... okay, right, here's something. The 43 rectangle, we know doesn't contain a 2, because it doesn't contain the digit that's the difference between 45 and 43. That's 2. So that means in this box there is a 2 in one of those cells. But now the 2 can't repeat in yellow, because then, well, that would be against the rules of the puzzle. And we know 2 is not in this 43, so where is 2 in this box? Well, in this box here. It can't be in yellow, and it can't be in brown, so it's in, well, it's not in the top row actually. So it's in one of those 2 cells. Right. Well, I mean, that does give me this. Sorry, I was just thinking about something else then. Let me just think about this as well. So... So what I'm thinking is that I think one of these is brown now, isn't it? Because we know the 2, whichever one of these is 2, is clearly not in the 45 cage, because if it was in the 45 cage it would repeat in the 45 cage. So it's not in that cage, so it must be a different colour to the 45 cage. So there is a brown 2 in one of these cells. Okay, I don't know what that's doing. I mean, maybe it can just be part of the 11 or something. No. Right, here's another... Oh, is that wrong? Hang on, I might be about to talk even more nonsense here. I'm just thinking about the secret in terms of these boxes. I haven't quite got my head around this, so what I'm about to say might be total and utter bilge, and if it is, I apologise. But the basic fact of Sudoku is that those 2 boxes contain digits that sum to 90, because that box sums to 45 and that box sums to 45. Yet we know these 2 cages sum up to 88. So if... Okay, so if that comes down... No, it can't touch the yellow. I'm just wondering if I can prove that there's only 1 brown cell in this box. and it can, because I know there's a 2 in this box, that would take me up to 90. So if this dips out, if for example those 2 are yellow, then I know that this plus that add to 90. And also, so these 2 digits would be the same. Okay, that's possible, isn't it? Yeah, okay, so I'm talking, my thought was total and utter nonsense. Never mind. It's quite constrained, having said that, for yellow. If yellow goes outside of this box here, it will cause some things to be important and interesting. But I don't think we can force it to yield those secrets yet. What's my 21 cage then? Can I do something with this if it's not got a 1 in it? What, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 add up to 20. Ah, yeah, okay. Okay, so this 21 cage, we know what digits it is now. Because it can't have a 1 in it, if we minimised every single cell in this cage, we would get 20. So we can only increase one of the digits, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 by 1. And the only way of doing that is to increase the 6 by 1. If you increase any of the others by 1, you'll have to increase one of the other digits by 1 as well in order to make room for it. So this has got to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. And that's not 2, 3, 4, and that's not 2, 3, 4. Whoopsie, pressed the wrong buttons there, clearly. Goodness only knows what's going on. I want to get rid of 2, 3 and 4, those ones, that's better. Right, so this is a 5, 7 pair, which means these are not 5 and 7. So we've got roping now, look at that. Out of absolutely nowhere, we've got roping in the central band, because we've got 2, 3, 4 there, 2, 3, 4 there, so 2, 3, 4 there. What do I mean by roping? Well, imagine, where do those 3 digits go in this box? Well, we know these blue digits are not 2, 3 and 4. So, and they can't go there, so they're going to go there, which means they're also going to go there by Sudoku. So you get this sort of striped effect along the row, which can be very handy. Yes, it is handy here, actually. So this, it is very handy. This 1 now has to live in one of those 3 cells, which means that digit's not a 1, which means that is our yellow, our final banana piece in the 7 cage. So now that's got to be surrounded entirely by brown in order to be correct. Now this must be yellow, otherwise we've got a problem. We haven't got a rectangular brown area. That's got to be yellow, otherwise we've got a problem. That's got to be yellow, or again we've got a problem. So that 8, I suppose that could be a solitary 8, couldn't it? Oh, in fact, if it grows at all, it's got to be careful. If it grows at all, it has to be a stripe downwards, and it couldn't be a 3-cell stripe because it would need a 1 in it. Because 8 in 3 cells is either 1, 2, 5 or 1, 3, 4. So if it grows downwards, it actually has to be 3, 5. Okay. Stuck now. I'm not sure where. Oh, this is. So if that's brown, then we'd have to have rectangular, or sorry, 2 by 2 of browniness. It's one of those rare puzzles with shading at the moment where 2 by 2s are allowable. Although we've only really got a couple of features of it so far. Right, this can't be rectangular because it's yellow, so it needs to cease to be a rectangle. I suppose it could just take that one. Oh, this one's got to bend as well. Ah. Yeah, okay. Oh, goodness, yeah, sorry, this is totally obvious. Right, look at this. At the moment it's domino in nature, and that is very naughty of it because it's yellow, so it mustn't be rectangular. So it's going to have to bend. Now, the point is it cannot be a 4-cell 10 cage because that cell cannot be 1, 2, 3 or 4. So if it was 4 cells large, this cell would have no option. So it's a 3-cell cage because it can't be a domino, but it needs to include a bent, so that has to be yellow. That's beautiful. And then it has to end, so everything surrounding it has to be brown. This rule set is amazing. It does so much work. Oh, look. This domino is not allowed to be rectangular, so that's got to grow. This now can't be brown, or we'd have a very strange rectangle, so that's got to be banana. Now, what's going on with this 11 clue? We can say, well, that yellow's got to grow. But it could just grow like that, couldn't it? Although, actually, if that's brown, that would have to be yellow. Oh, hang on, that's something wrong here. If this is brown, this can't be brown now because that's not going to be a rectangle in any way. But if it's yellow, the yellow can't bend. So that has to be yellow. That's going to be interesting. Yes. This now can't be yellow, or that's too big a yellow. Oh, that is far too big a yellow cage. The maximum size of yellow here would be a 4-cell cage containing 1, 2, 3 and 5. So that's brown. Now, so if that's yellow, then that is also yellow. Because if you just make that yellow, you can't then make this brown because it wouldn't be a rectangle. So these two are the same colour, I think. They're either both brown or they're both yellow. Right, that's beautiful. That is this puzzle. This is absolutely first class, RockyRoer. If this was double yellow, how on earth are we going to make those cells, which are 6 different numbers, add up to anything helpful at all? The answer is you can't do it, because the minimum I can make those 6 cells add up to is 21, and that would require this cell to be a 0, because we know that those cells add up to 21, by 10 plus 11 is 21. So if I keep those down to 21, that has to be a 0. If I make these any bigger, this has to be a negative number. So you can't put yellows in those cells, which means they're double browns. Now, oh, good grief, right. Now this yellow is a rectangle again, and it's not allowed to be. So that's got to be yellow. Which is exciting. So do I now know? Do I know that this stops here, or could it continue here? If it continued here, then that would be brown. No, oh, okay. No, it's much simpler than that. It's much simpler than that. This 31 clue, how could that be brown? Well, it can't be, because if it's brown, it's part of this sequence, which means it's a horizontal sequence that has to add up to 31. Well, a horizontal sequence adding up to 31 is going to require at least 5 cells, because 9, 8, 7 and 6 only add up to 30. So that has to be yellow, and it's a different clue to this one, so that makes this brown. There we go. Now we've got a sort of W pentomino there, which could grow if that's an 8. Okay, now I'm getting stuck. Bobbins face. How do we do this then? Can we say something about this 40 now? 40 is at least 7 cells. So if this comes meandering over here, it could take those and that. And that could be like that. Well, and then it maybe extend again. Okay, yeah, this is it's getting cluttered. It's getting cluttered. So what do I do here? How do we unwind this bottom bit of the grid? Have we got any clues? Is it numbers now? Is it Sudoku? I've done very little thinking about Sudoku. There's a 2 in one of those cells. Or is it... I don't know. Is it going to be... Oh, here's a little point. Oh, this is... I see what it is. I see what it is. It's this brown rectangle. Well, that can't grow, or it wouldn't be a rectangle. So that's yellow, which means it's part of the 45, which means it can't contain a 2, which means that that's a 2, and therefore we said that was brown. It looks like it's joining the 11. Oh, can that be? No. Oh, it's lovely setting again. Look, it's restricted. That is an 8-cell sequence. So if that's yellow, if this cell is yellow, it becomes a 10-cell sequence, and that's impossible. You're going to repeat a digit. So that's brown, which means that can't be brown. Oh, so this is yellow now. So if this is brown, it's not a rectangle. Yellow has to have a bend in it, so we can extend this one. And this is only 8 cells large, and it's a 45 clue, so it's got to grow. So that grows to here, and that becomes brown. And 11 must be at least 2 cells, but actually here must be at least 3 cells, because this has got to be... Oh, this is sick. This is so clever. Good grief. Right. This is not allowed to be a straight sequence. Oh, hang on. Well, I can see this is brown. I was about to say that has to bend up there. But maybe that's wrong, actually. Well, certainly this can't be yellow, because that will make a 5-cell sequence adding up to 11, and the triangular number for 5 is 15. So that is brown. So the 18 clue now, whichever way this goes, is going to connect with a yellow. So that is brown. And 18 is at least 3 cells. So how could this not be brown? In fact, that's it. That's what it is. Because, yeah, for many reasons. In fact, this has all got too cluttered to be open to ambiguity now. Right, this is a 3-cell sequence at least. So if it doesn't take that cell, it comes down and connects like that, and that's not a rectangle. So it must take this cell, and in taking this cell, the only rectangle that can now be formed is that one. Now this yellow hasn't bent yet, so it's the only way it can bend is like that, and that is a 4-cell sequence adding up to 11, which has to be 1, 2, 3, 5, which means that's the 2. This is a 1, 3, 5 sequence. This box, look, we've got 29 in those 7 cells by maths, 18 plus 11. So these have to add up to 16, which is only possible if they are a 9-7 pair. Which means those squares are 4, 6 and 8 by simple what's left. And those squares, look, are the same digits as those because whatever is in these 3 cells has to appear somewhere in row 1 but can't repeat in yellow. So these digits here are not allowed to be in there. So they must be in there, which means these squares are 4, 6 and 8, which means that's not a 4. Now if we could get this down to being an 8, that would tell us the size of this 8 cage. Oh, well, before we do that, why don't we think about that cell? Because this 11 is bounded, so that's got to be brown. It's part of a 17, which can't be 1 cell, so that's brown. That's not... If this is brown, we definitely don't have a rectangle. And in fact, that is rectangular and it's yellow, and that's not allowed. So that's got to grow. This is probably going to be 8, 9, isn't it? No, hang on. This can't grow, because if it grows to there, that's not a rectangle, so that's yellow. Now, that's important for this cell, which now can't be yellow, or the 15 sequence is made of 6 cells, which can't work, so that's brown. And this Oh, it could be a 2 by 2. Well, it definitely doesn't take that cell, because that won't be rectangular. So that cell must be yellow. Can that join up with that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No. You can't make 8 cells add up to 31, because that would imply that there was a 14 number in a Sudoku, which there isn't. So that's, oh, so this is brown, and we know that this can't be a 3-cell sequence. So that's yellow. This yellow definitely hasn't got a turn in it, so that's yellow. Oh, the 40 clue. Hang on. So this is part of the 40, isn't it? Because yes, if this is not yellow, the 40 clue cannot be made up of 3 cells. That's not going to work. So that's yellow. We still don't know whether the 13 is a 2 by 2 or not. Do we know whether this takes... Oh, it's still giving lovely stuff. Right, that cell is not yellow, because if it was yellow, this would be the size of yellow. It would have to be a 5-cell sequence. It couldn't be any larger without being greater than 15. But look, a 5-cell sequence adding to 15 has got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And whatever that digit is definitely not in that Z pentomino. So that is brown. And it doesn't, oh, it doesn't connect with a 13 then. So that's got to be yellow. So that's yellow, and that hasn't got a bend in it. So that's yellow. And that is the chocolate banana part of the puzzle finished. Wow. What? That's just... that was just beautiful stuff. It was so good. Right, that's not a 1, because you can't add this digit to a 1 and make this digit in any way valid. It's going to be too big. 40 down here made up... Right, this has got... Right, okay. This domino is a 5-8 pair, because this cage is of size 8 adding to 40. Now, if it was a size 9, we know it would add up to 45. So the missing digit here is a 5. So where do you put the 5 in box 9? And the answer isn't, well, because it can't go in yellow, it's got to go in this domino, where it's part of a domino that adds up to 13. So that's a 5-8 pair, which means that's not 5. This is an 8. That's going to be very important for the following reason. Well, okay, I've still got to put 8 in my yellow region. It's only missing 5. It's not missing 8 as well, so that's got to be 8. Oh, so that's 6. Oh, and okay, coming back to this 8, which was something we were thinking about earlier. We know this is 3, 5 now because it's 2 cells and it couldn't have a 1 or a 2 in it. So we've got to put 7 and 9 into those 2 cells by Sudoku. We've got... So 5, look, is aligning in these cells. There's definitely a 5 in both of those dominoes. So we can ask where 5 goes in row 9, and it can't be in those 6 cells. So it's got to be in one of those 3 cells. So if that was a 5, these 2 cells would add to 6, so probably 2 4 is going to work. That cell in the 10 cage is restricted, look, because it can't be 1, 2, 3, or 4. So that's at least 5 and can't be more than 7 because we've still got to add 2 more digits to it. Can this be a 1, 2 pair? Maybe. I probably can't, but I can't immediately see why not. Okay, so these digits here add up to a maximum of 5. So they're 1, 2, 3, or 4. I can't see how to do it. Come on, Simon. Oh, 3. Where does 3 go in this box now? It seems to have to be there. 5, no. 15. Oh, hang on. 32. Yes. Okay, look. Those add up to 17. Those add up to 15. So together, those 7 cells add up to 32. But we know the whole box adds to 45, so these have to add up to 13. And the only way we can do that now, given how low this digit is if we put 4 and 9 in. So these are now not 4. Oh, this is just a 3. Sudoku is going to help us. These have to add up to 14 without using 9. So they've got to be 6 and 8, I think. Which means that's a 4 in the corner. That's a 6, that's an 8 by the power of Sudoku. That's not a 3. What are these digits then? 1, 5 and 7. 1, 5, 7 and 2 do add up to 15, so that's probably right. 1, 5, 7. And that's not allowed to be 1. So we've got a 5, 7 pair here, and this cell is a 6 or an 8. To complete row 5. There's a 5 down here. Okay, so that becomes 5 by Sudoku. That's 7. That's 1. That's 3. That's 1. See, it's a 3, 5 pair. That's 5. And now that's 7. That's 9. Here we go. We're getting somewhere now. That's got to be a 4. These 3 squares at the bottom of this column are 1, 7 and 9. So those squares have got to be 2, 6 and 3, I want to say. Is that important? 2, 3 and 6. I don't seem to have enough on the left hand side to help us there. That's 5. So that's 7. That can't repeat in the 21 cage, so that becomes 5. That's not 5 anymore. That's quite interesting for the 10 cage now, which, because this can't have 5 in it, this has to have a 1 in it, because these two squares either add up to 4 or 3, and they can't have 4 in them anymore. So this square's not a 1. Can we do better than that? So so these two squares now are a minimum of 2 plus 4, because they can't have 1 in them, and they can't be a 2, 3 pair without forcing both of these digits to be a 1. So if these are a minimum of a 2, 4 pair, that's a maximum of 5. So this, and it can't be 3 or 4, and it can't be 5, so that's a 2, I want to say. Oh no, can it be a 1? Oh, bobbins. Okay, that's very restricted. That's a 1 or a 2 only. It can't be 3, it can't be 4, it can't be 5. And it can't be bigger than 5, because that's going to make these too small. I can't disprove this one's ability to be 1, though, I don't think. Oh no, I can. I can, by Sudoku. Our old friend Sudoku comes into its own. Where is the 1 in box 2? It's got to be in one of those 2 cells, apparently. So that's great. So this is now a 2. So this is not a 2. And these 2 squares add up to 9 without being 1, 8 or 2, 7. So this is 3, 6 or 4, 5. So if it's 4, 5, I can see the order. It has to be like that. If it's 3, 6, I don't think I can see the order. I might be wrong, but I'm not seeing how to do that. That cell's a 9, because this is a 7, so that cell's a 7 at the top of the grid. So in this box now, what do we need? We need to put in 5, 6 and 8. Okay, I can see something here. If you look at this row, this cell is a 6 or an 8. So that creates a 4, 6, 8 triple here, and that means that must be a 5, because it can't be any sort of 6, 8-age, can it? So this is a 6 or an 8. And these cells at the bottom of this column now are forced to be 1, 7, and the same as these. Okay, that's weird. So these are 1, 7 and 9. We know that's not a 1 because of this one here. We've got a 7, 9 pair in row 7. We've got... I don't quite know what else we've got. Other things as well, no doubt. Right, these 2 squares are a 4, 6 pair. How can that not be resolved? Okay, so that seems to give me this digit as an 8. which I'll take, and that means that's a 6. So that's a 6, and that's an 8. This 6 means this is an 8. So now we've got to put 6, 7 and 9 along here. But again, I think there's something I'm missing about what could it be? Is it going to be those two squares don't include a 6, so this is a 4, 8 pair. These squares are 1, 9 and 5. Ah, that cell's a 9. It can't be 1 or 5. So this is a 1, 5 pair. This doesn't have a 2 in it, but we already knew that. These squares don't need their 1 corner mark. So which cages have I not used? I've thought about that 10 cage. Is that somehow helpful? I've not used this 31 cage. What's going on with that? Ooh. Okay, here you go. This is it. This is nice. How is this not a 1? And the answer is it has to be a 1. Because if this was not a 1, look at the nature of these cells in the cage. They would have to be a 7, 2, well these would both be 7, 9, so that would be a 6. And that would mean those 4 cells would add up to 30, which requires this to be a 1 in order to get to 31, and that's definitely not a 1. So that must be a 1, which means that's not a 1, that's not a 1, that's 1 in the corner. No song for that, but it's still exciting. Right, and now this can't be a 4, because once this is a 1, we know those 4 cells add up to 30, so they've got to be 6, 7, 8 and 9, and that's therefore a 6, because it doesn't have a 4 in it. So that's not a 6. Ah! No, what on earth happened? I don't want to put pink things in. I want to just get rid of the 6 from that cell. Right, I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple here. So that's a 5. This is a 3. That's not a 3. Right, what's going on? Oh, this is 5 now. So that's 5. That's 8. So that digit's known. That's a 4. Yes, okay, we can see that. I can see that by Sudoku as well as just sort of staring at row. I can't remember which row I was staring at, but whichever row I was staring at it, I can see it. Now, this is now not a 4, 5 pair, so it's a 3, 6 pair, and the 3 here is helpful. So that becomes 3, 6. That becomes 2. This becomes a 3, 4 pair. And now there's no... oh, look, yeah. Now there's no 3 in this domino, so this domino adds up to 3, which means that's a 7 to make the maths work. So that's a 9, that's a 6. That's not a 2. So these squares are 5, 7 and 8, which means that's a... oh, this is lovely. 5, 5, 1, 7, 8, 8, 4, 1, 3. Ah, not resolved. What about those then? 4, 6. Yes, that's resolved. 6, 4, 4, 3, 3, 1, 1, 2. 5 goes in the corner down here. What's going on? So this is a 6. That's a 2. That's a 3. So that's a 7 or a 9. Oh no, that's still not resolved. Wow. Oh, it is. No, this 9 is in the 31 cage, and it can't have a repeat then. So that does my 7s and my 9s. Gets me a 7 here. This is an 8, 9 pair, which is resolved. I haven't put 9 in the top box, and if I haven't made a ricket, that's a 2 in the corner. Wow, that is absolutely sensational. That is one of the most beautiful, brilliant combinations of Sudoku and sort of logic problem we've ever had on the channel. I loved that from start to finish. It's such a natural rule set. I don't know, I used to love a Japanese logic problem called Shikaku, which is all about building in, completing a grid that's just got numbers in it and filling it in with rectangles of the appropriate size. I think we've probably done 1 or 2 on the channel. It just really appeals to the way my brain works, and this felt a little bit like that. I loved that. That was so cool. let me know in the comments how you got on with it. I do enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and let's give RockyRoer some love for this one, because that was so cool. And chocolate banana, killer, whatever it is, we want more of it. See you later on for another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.